to quiet down enough to actually hear him. And when he finally spoke, his words didn't echo, they cut. When Tiger Woods finally broke his silence, it wasn't in front of flashing cameras or a roaring audience. It was in his quiet, deliberate way, calm voice, steady gaze, no theatrics. He spoke not to defend anyone, but to remind everyone. Golf, he said, has always been a game of respect for the course, for your opponent, and for yourself. There was no anger, no accusation, just a steady truth that cut through months of chaos. It wasn't noise that people heard that day, it was clarity. He acknowledged the tension, the crowd behavior, and the disappointment that defined Bethpage. But Tiger didn't point fingers. Instead, he turned the lens back on everyone who loves the sport. We all share responsibility, he said, to keep the game what it's always been, something honorable. For him, the problem wasn't passion, it was the loss of restraint, the surrender to impulse. He called on players, fans, and even officials to reclaim golf's dignity, a phrase that would echo across clubhouses and press rooms for weeks. In an age of noise, Tiger was asking for quiet. He praised Luke Donald's poise under pressure, a subtle nod to leadership rooted in calm, not chaos. Without naming names, Woods made his point. Greatness doesn't shout, it breathes. His tone wasn't nostalgic, it was urgent. He warned that if golf traded grace for spectacle, it would lose something far more valuable than trophies. You can't build legacy on disrespect, he said softly. The line felt less like commentary and more like creed. It was Tiger, the philosopher of discipline, returning to protect the soul of his sport. In that moment, the narrative shifted. Fans who had spent months debating the behavior at Bethpage suddenly had something higher to focus on: integrity. Woods didn't give the sport answers, he gave it a mirror. And in that reflection, golf saw not just its mistakes, but its potential to be better. Tiger hadn't just spoken his mind, he'd reminded golf of its conscience. Tiger's words rippled through the game like a soft tide turning stone. Within days, other legends followed, not to contradict him, but to echo what they'd long felt. Tom Watson, still shaken from the scenes at Bethpage, called Woods' message a breath of truth the game needed. For Watson, it was redemption, a bridge between shame and accountability. He said, "We can't change the crowd overnight, but we can change the example we set." It was a humble concession from one of golf's proudest guardians. The old guard wasn't angry anymore, they were ready to rebuild. Gary Player, whose earlier outburst branded the event the worst in the world, softened his tone after Tiger's comments. He admitted his frustration came from love for a game that once demanded decorum. "Tiger reminded us what golf means," he said, "and maybe we all needed reminding." His words carried a tone of reflection rather than rage. Player, once furious, now sounded hopeful. Even the loudest critics found calm in Tiger's honesty. Jack Nicklaus, ever the voice of legacy, added his weight to the movement. In an interview with Sports Illustrated, he reflected on Tiger's statement with admiration. "That's what leadership looks like," Nicklaus said. "Not volume vision." He proposed new standards, more authority for referees to control fan behavior, clearer codes of conduct for both spectators and players. The conversation was changing. What had begun as outrage was becoming reform. The game was beginning to listen to itself again. Together, these voices, Watson, Player, Nicklaus, formed a chorus of wisdom, anchored by Woods' calm conviction. Across social media, podcasts, and practice greens, a new phrase surfaced: protect the game. It wasn't a slogan, it was a mission. Golf's legends had turned frustration into purpose, criticism into stewardship, and as their message spread, something long forgotten began to stir the quiet pride that once defined the game. Maybe the 2025 Ryder Cup wasn't golf's fall from grace, maybe it was its wake-up call. What happened at Bethpage, with its chaos and confrontation, stripped the sport bare. But in that vulnerability, something powerful began to grow. It wasn't about blame anymore, it was about responsibility, a shared one. Tiger Woods' words didn't accuse, they awakened. They reminded fans, players, and leaders that golf's greatness was never in its noise, but in its quiet strength. Sometimes, the only way to heal a tradition is to break it open first. In the weeks that followed, a strange calm settled over the sport. You could feel it in locker rooms, in practice ranges, in the way commentators spoke with a little more care. Players started shaking hands longer, fans started cheering softer. It wasn't perfect, but it was progress. The honesty of legends like Woods, Nicklaus, and Watson had become the mirror golf needed to see itself clearly again. For once, the headlines weren't about controversy or chaos, they were about reflection. The noise was fading, and in its place, respect was making a quiet return. The PGA of America began talks about new guidelines, real authority for marshals, stricter codes for crowd conduct, better mental health resources for players. These weren't punishments, they were promises. Promises that the sport would protect what made it special, its integrity. Tiger's calm conviction had done what no trophy could. It restored belief. Not just in the players, but in the spirit that holds them together. Golf wasn't just recovering, it was remembering who it was. And then, in one of those quiet moments that only golf can create, the cameras caught him, Tiger Woods, walking the practice fairway at dusk. Bag over his shoulder. No fans, no applause. Just the rhythm of his steps and the wind in the trees. The sun sank behind him, the light golden, the air still. His words echoed softly, almost like prayer. For Tiger Woods, honesty isn't about judgment, it's about protecting the game he loves. And maybe that's how golf finds its way back to grace. Stood Tiger Woods, the man who had redefined greatness for an entire generation. But what unfolded next wasn't another highlight for the record books. During his team's debut match in February 2025, Tiger made a mistake that left fans stunned. Reading his distance as 99 yards instead of 199, he confidently selected a wedge and watched the ball fall embarrassingly short. A stunned silence turned to laughter, even from his own teammates. Later, Tiger called it one of the most embarrassing moments of my career. The legend who built his name on surgical precision had suddenly looked human. Was this just a fluke, or the first sign of something deeper slipping away? In isolation, the blunder might have been forgotten, another viral sports clip destined for a weekend meme cycle. But this wasn't just anyone. This was Tiger Woods, the same man whose every motion once defined perfection. The irony was hard to ignore, a golfer known for mastering pressure undone by a simple yardage misread. In the sterile, tech-driven environment of TGL, the smallest miscalculation felt symbolic. A glitch not in the simulator, but in the focus of a man who built his empire on control. Could this moment mark the turning point from dominance to decline? Fans and analysts were quick to ask the question. Tiger himself seemed to avoid, why is he still pushing so hard, still experimenting, still chasing reinvention? The blunder wasn't about one swing, it was about direction. And as 2025 unfolds, the real question emerges: is Tiger's next move his greatest comeback, or his biggest mistake yet? Long before the TGL miscalculation, Tiger Woods had already written a complicated history of brilliance, shadowed by misjudgment. Few athletes have ever reached his level of dominance, and fewer still have dismantled it with their own decisions. Legendary golfer Gary Player once claimed that Tiger ruined his career by endlessly changing swing coaches after reaching his peak. In Player's eyes, Tiger's obsession with reinvention cost him not just rhythm, but identity. Each new coach, each tweak in mechanics, seemed to chase perfection that was already achieved. The pursuit of better began to erode the best. Could the greatest champion of modern golf have been undone by his own relentless need to evolve? That pattern of overcorrection wasn't limited to technique, it extended to his body. In a 2025 interview with Newsweek, Tiger reflected on his early training habits, admitting one of his biggest regrets. "I shouldn't have run so much." The brutal physical regimen he imposed on himself in his 20s, designed to build strength and endurance, instead shredded his knees and back, shortening his prime years. What was meant to make him indestructible became the foundation for his fragility. Even legends can mistake endurance for invincibility. From constant swing changes to relentless comebacks after injury, Tiger's career has followed a cycle of push, break, and rebuild. Each return carried flashes of the old magic: the 2019 Masters comeback, the iconic fist pump, but also reminders of what had been lost. Now, in 2025, the mistakes no longer come from the body or the swing alone. They come from a deeper place, a refusal to let go of control, to adapt gracefully. And as history shows, the greatest downfall often begins when greatness itself becomes the addiction. When Tiger Woods announced the launch of TGL, a high-tech simulator golf league promising to revolutionize the sport, the world took notice. Backed by cutting-edge technology and star investors, it was marketed as the perfect bridge between tradition and the digital future. Tiger wasn't just participating, he was leading it. As co-founder and face of the project, his influence gave the league instant credibility. But as the lights came on during its highly anticipated debut in early 2025, things went wrong. From the yardage blunder to awkward timing glitches, the spectacle felt unpolished. The CBS Sports and Associated Press coverage praised the ambition, but the headlines told a harsher truth: innovation without precision can look like chaos. For the first time, Tiger wasn't chasing victory on the course, he was defending his reputation in the court of public perception. Fans were divided. Some saw Tiger's push into virtual competition as visionary proof that he was evolving beyond traditional golf. Others felt it was a distraction, a vanity project built on nostalgia and name recognition. Social media was split between admiration and mockery. For a man who once commanded absolute respect, this was unfamiliar territory. Woods had become the brand, not just the athlete, and that brand now seemed at risk. The same drive that once redefined golf might now be redefining him for the wrong reasons. The irony is unmistakable. The man who once set the standards of modern golf, who made others chase his shadow, is now the one chasing trends. In trying to future-proof the game, Tiger may be sacrificing what made him timeless. And as the TGL project moves forward, one question lingers: has Tiger built a legacy empire, or a monument to a legend who couldn't stop reinventing himself? Every great athlete eventually faces the same moment, the point where passion collides with reality. For Tiger Woods, that moment is now. After nearly 3 decades on golf's biggest stage, he's eligible to compete on the PGA Tour Champions, the senior circuit where legends like Phil Mickelson and Ernie Els have extended their careers with grace. But according to CBS Sports reporting from 2024 and 2025, Tiger remains hesitant, even dismissive, about joining. The Champions Tour offers shorter rounds, golf carts, and a lighter travel schedule, all luxuries for a man whose body has endured countless surgeries. Yet, for Tiger, those same accommodations feel like surrender. He doesn't just want to play, he wants to prove he still belongs among the elite. The logic for joining the senior tour seems obvious: less strain, more longevity, and the chance to dominate peers his own age. It could even protect his legacy, letting him showcase skill without risking injury. But logic has never been Tiger's compass, pride has. Friends and insiders say he still believes he can win on the main PGA Tour, that stepping down would be an admission that his prime is truly gone. That internal conflict has defined his career, a refusal to yield, even when the evidence mounts. But what if that same pride that built his empire is now the very thing tearing it down? Phil Mickelson embraced the shift, reinventing himself on new tours and adapting to new realities. Ernie Els did the same, finding peace beyond pressure. Alone, caught between legacy and identity. Each missed cut, each physical setback adds weight to the question fans now whisper: is Tiger protecting his legacy by staying, or destroying it by refusing to let it evolve? For over 2 decades, Tiger Woods has been more than a golfer. He has been a force of nature, a global icon, and the standard by which greatness itself is measured. But in 2025, that aura of invincibility feels fragile. From the infamous TGL blunder to his hesitation about joining the senior tour, the legend who once seemed untouchable now faces questions about identity, direction, and pride. What once looked like evolution now risks appearing as erosion. His story has always been about control of his game, his image, his destiny, but even control